And we're back. Yes, we have done it. We are at the last video. So just to honor our last writing experience of the 4-day challenge, I changed up my hair, a little something a little different. And if you have been writing this is day 4. So if you've been writing all 3 days and going through and unpacking your experiences and being open and transparent, and you have made it to the finish line, the first thing I want to say to you is you deserve a trophy. You did it. Yay, you. All right. Thank you for hanging in there with me. And we are in this journey together. And I hope that you are experiencing some benefit from it. So just like the other videos, we're going to go in, we're going to do our writing prompt. We're going to explore that. And then I'm going to ask you to set your clock for 20 minutes. Write for 20 minutes continuously, and then we'll come back and process it. As always, we want to be thinking about our self-care. I'm pretty much at the same routine for the pre-writing of taking time to pray and kind of center myself and meditate before I get into it, and then going into the process. So what do we have in store for today? Writing prompt number 4 is this. As with your previous writings, we're going to explore your deepest emotions and thoughts about those upheavals and issues that are most important and troublesome in your life. So that's what we're going to be exploring. But here we want to try to tie things up. We want to try to get some level of closure in this process. So we want to tie it up. Anything that you haven't confronted yet, what have you been learning about yourself, what you've lost, what you've gained as a result of the trauma, and how have these past events guided your thoughts and actions. You don't have to write each of these things. Whatever stands out most to you from this prompt, that's what I would recommend writing about in this process. So again, we're going to set our clocks on your phone or wherever for 20 minutes, and then pause the video, and then come back and we will process it. So let's start that now, and I will see you back in 20 minutes. And so we are back. Hopefully you have also made sure you did some self-care while you were writing. I forgot to talk about that before, but as always, you want to be making sure you're writing in a place where you feel safe and secure, free to express yourself without fear of interruption or distractions. I know it's not always feasible, but as best you can do that. I wrote as my normal comfortable space in my bedroom where I feel cozy and free from interruption. So that's where I did my writing. For the prompt, I wanted to focus this time in trying to tie things up and trying to bring some level of closure to this 4-day writing challenge. I went back to the beginning, and I started out, if you recall, writing about the little girl who had survived that sexual abuse. And I wanted to go back and write to her again and speak to her. So a lot of my writing focused on just trying to honor that little girl who endured so much. She didn't ask for it. She didn't volunteer and say, hey, I'll do that. But she did it nonetheless. She was thrust into that situation. She endured the pain, the fear, the physical pain that she went through, and all of that. And also the silence, the pain of keeping quiet about it because she was told not to tell or you get hurt. So she went through all that, and she endured it with grace and with her head held high and strength. And because of that, I am where I am today. So I wanted to thank her. I wanted to make sure that I acknowledged what she went through and just gave her props for enduring all that. And then by the end of it, I wanted to also let that little girl know that she's free because I'm free. And she doesn't need to be on guard for me anymore. She doesn't need to be on the defense for me anymore, protect me anymore. She can be a little girl again. So I wanted her to know I'm good, I'm safe, we're free. So be free, be that little girl that you should have been and had those opportunities. And I think by that, I mean also for myself, my grown self, it's okay to have fun and enjoy life. I do that as much as possible. And I think people who know me, like my students, wouldn't know that sometimes I feel guilty for enjoying my life. Um, and I think part of that is tied to those childhood experiences. So just reminding her it's okay to be free and enjoy your life and have fun. That was really a lot of what I focused on in my writing. You didn't have to do that. You could write about whatever. I'm just sharing with you where I ended up in my writing process. So let's get into the questions and go through that process. So, to what degree did you express your deepest thoughts and feelings? I would say I wrote down, bring my paper over. I gave myself an 8 for that. Again, this is not a score, like it's great if you did 8 or a 2 is bad. It's not about that, but just evaluating where you are. So for that, I was at an 8. Because it was the last writing, I wanted to not hold anything back. I wanted to be open and share as much as I could. So I let it all hang out. But surprisingly, I didn't shed a tear at all, and I've been crying all through this thing. But not this time. There was not. It wasn't even a welling up, which was interesting to me. So no tears this time around. Even though I was expressing my deepest thoughts and feelings and saying things that I, you know, wouldn't normally be writing about. So that's where I was. You didn't have to be, if you were at a lower score, if you were at a 2, doesn't really mean anything. So don't feel like this process isn't working for you. If your score was lower, it's just where you were. If you were expressing your some deep emotions and thoughts, yeah, it's natural that you would be sad. So if you're sad, it makes sense. No, no, no shame in that, nothing wrong with that. That's just where you were. I was at an 8 as far as expressing my emotions. If you were at a 2 because you were just not as willing to share this time, you were tired or you're just kind of over it, this process, again, that's a gauge that's telling you where you are. After 4 days of writing, this is where I'm at. That's all we're doing at that stage. To what degree do you currently feel sad or upset? I said 0, which also surprised me. I wasn't sad. I felt very hopeful at the end of this writing prompt, um, thinking about the strength of that little girl who still is alive in me and still lives on in me, gave me a lot of hope for tomorrow and the different challenges I have. And that, mind you, remember in my previous videos, I was talking about how I was processing ending a relationship and all that. That's still kind of ongoing. But even with all that going on, I still did not feel sad or upset today in my writing. I felt hopeful. I felt encouraged. I felt tapping into and acknowledging, honoring that little girl, and knowing she still lives on in me. It made me feel hopeful about the challenges that I have ahead of me in the future. So for this one, 0 sadness. Again, if you did feel sad, it makes sense that you would feel sad because you're writing about sad things. So don't put any judgment on that, whatever number you had. It's just a gauge to see where you are. To what degree did you currently feel happy? I gave myself a 9 on that one, not a 10, but a 9. I think that was good because, like I said before, I was feeling very hopeful, very inspired, very much like ready to take on the world, that kind of thing. Like I could have after I finished writing, you know, built a brick wall or built a house or something like that. I just felt very like I can do anything. I went through all that. I can do anything. Nothing can stop me. That kind of feeling. So I really felt very happy at the end of it. A nine happy. If you weren't, again, no judgment there. It's just a gauge of where you are currently. And then, to what degree was today's writing valuable or meaningful for you? I gave that an eight. I have explored the thought of that little girl. So that wasn't new. If that had been like a revelation to me, I probably would have scored it higher. So it wasn't like new territory that I was exploring. It was it was things that I had processed already, but there was still meaning and value for it for me. I felt like going through and talking to that little girl gave me hope and inspiration because I have a lot of things on the horizon for me, like doing these videos, creating this online course, things at work, things in my personal life, a lot of different challenges. And sometimes when I think about it, it can feel very overwhelming. But just taking this time to acknowledge that girl in me who went through all of those things and who she is today, and because of what she endured, where I am today, getting ready to take on these different challenges and experiences, I just felt really inspired. I felt really hopeful and encouraged. So yeah, it was like the greatest pep talk ever I gave myself. So how could you not find that valuable if someone gives you a really good pep talk, even if that someone is yourself? So, yes, I did find it very valuable and meaningful today. And then describe how your writing went today, so you can refer to this later. I'm just going to read what I wrote. So I wrote in my normal space, and this was a very busy week. So I didn't say that before, but it really was. Had a lot going on at work, and coming home from work, I was feeling very tired. Like I really just wanted to go to sleep, but it was important to me to finish this. We started this together, and I was determined to finish it. So I really wanted to just bring this thing to a close, and so I pushed through a lot, but I did it. So that's part of it. I was determined to see this through, to wrap it up and tie everything together and bring it full circle. So I started out talking about the little girl in me, and then I ended today writing about the same thing. Um, and by the end of today, I felt, like I said before, very inspired. So just a little note. So when we go back and process the whole experience, just to keep track of where I was, that's what this part is for. So, whatever you wrote down, again, we're not judging it as this is good or bad, but just where we were in the moment. Okay? So, always after we do that processing, we want to do a self care check and just see and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. So, my plan after the writing, after the video, is to do a facial. I just think that seems like it's going to be a great idea for me. It's been a while since I've given myself, and I'm not talking about going to a spa. I'm talking about using what I have in my home. I have a lot of things I buy. It sounds good, and then I build up a big collection of stuff in my closet. But I feel like because we've been doing a lot of processing and stirring up a lot of messy stuff, it would be very cleansing to just physically cleanse myself, and take that time to clean my face, give myself a facial and just a refresh, recharge moment. So that's my plan for self care. And so, what did you do? Feel free to share that. I'm very interested to see how people are taking care of themselves. And whether you share it or not, make sure you're taking care of yourself. It's important. If you don't take care of yourself, you'll find yourself getting worn down from this process and you won't want to do it anymore. But if you know there's this little treat at the end and that nurturing part of you is going to continue, you'll be more likely to keep up with it. All right, so that's where I am with self care. Where are you? Feel free to share that. And then what are we going to do? So in the book, Penny Baker talks about this last day of writing, day 4, that a lot of people find this the least enjoyable, even though I was excited. Um, if you found it a miserable experience or you didn't really like this experience, you're not alone. A lot of people find it the least enjoyable because you're kind of burnt out, you're kind of spent after doing all this writing for the past 4 days. So, what he says for everyone to do at this point is take a break. We are going to go through and process. I keep using the word process, but it's really an assessment. We're going to go through these 4 days of writing. So, if you've saved your writings, keep saving them, because I'm going to do another video and we're going to assess it. We're going to be looking at patterns. We're going to be looking at really trying to evaluate, was there a benefit in this experience for you? Is this something that you would want to continue? What can you change about your writing to see more benefit? We're going to do a lot of assessing in the next video. So save your sheets, save your responses to the 5 questions so we can go back and explore those things. But for now, he says take a couple days and take a break. So that's what we're going to do. And I say during those couple of days, take care of yourself. Do something special to kind of a little bit of a treat for what you've endured. I guess endured isn't the right word. What you've accomplished. That's a better word. Accomplished. You went through a 4-day challenge, a self-discovery, self-healing journey, and you made it to the other side of that. So that deserves a celebration. And however you want to do it, I encourage you to do it. Whether it is treating yourself to a movie, giving yourself a mani-pedi, buying yourself a cup of coffee, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you smile, whatever makes you feel comforted, do it because you earned it. And then come back. I will be posting the follow-up where we're going to assess the experience in 2 days. So you can come back in 2 days, or if you're watching this video long after, you can just go to the next video. But I do encourage you to take a little bit of a break and then come back and go through the assessment process with me. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.